Okay, so I'm going to try making another mould. So this mould I've made using a cup, but I'm not sure whether I wasted too much material doing that. And there was also an issue with me connecting the top of this frame on top of this cup because the cup was a bit too floppy. So I've come up with another idea. I'm just going to show you how I'm making this mould. So I've cut a few bits of foam board, and that's just at a nice height for this to sit in. That sits level. So I've cut these as squares, so let's just glue gun these up. So running a bead of glue just down the side, hot glue down the side. This is what I've seen some of the mould makers on YouTube, like Adam Savage and Frankie Polito. They quite often use foam board, and the one thing that it does do, it produces quite a firm, stable mould when you actually are using it for casting. So there we go. So that's just about right. So that should now fit in there nicely. Okay. And now let's glue that onto a base. I'm about to run out of hot glue, I think, but let's get some more first. Get some more ready. Whoops, what was that? Okay, here goes. Alright, that's nice. Nice and stable. And then what I've seen them do is make sure that they seal the bottom of it, or seal everything really. So let's make sure I get a nice bead of hot glue on all of these edges. I actually can see a little gap at the end of that, which I need to make sure that's filled. Let's do that down there. Okay, and this side, I don't know whether you can see, there's a slight gap down the bottom, so I really want to make sure all this is filled. So once I've squidged the glue in there, I'm just running the tip of the glue gun across it, and the little rubber thing's long since gone off the front of that, but that does mean that I can just heat up the glue with the tip and make sure that that's all pushed in. If this was a bigger mould, I might try and get in there and do the inside, that I can't, but I'm also going to do the same thing just with these edges, because I really don't want this to leak. I've only got a certain amount left of silicone, so I want to make sure that none of this silicone escapes. I think I've just about got enough to do this. There's quite a big gap on that one, so make sure that that's filled, and then again I'm just making sure it's pushed in to the little gap there. Not very perfect, but there you go. All right, now the next thing I want to do, the last time I tried to do this and screw that in. That's just not working for me. So I'm going to take a bit of this, now this is on there, I'm going to take a bit of spare foam core. So I'm just going to cut it off here. Just to give myself 2 strips of foam core to use. Should be enough. And then do the same on the other one. Don't need a lot really. Alright, oh no, my wonderful wood. Oh. Alright, so what I'm going to do is have that like that. So let's just cut a diagonal on the end. So hopefully I can do this, you see, and suspend it like so. I also, with these extra bits of blue tack for the air to get out, I've just sliced the top of it off, just gently, so that nothing comes above the top of this frame. And then I'm going to put a blob of glue on there. Oops, that's not a lot. Let's put a bit more on. Blob of glue on there. Then I can pop that like so. And a blob of glue on this side. A little bit there as well. Why not? And then pop that there. So now that supports it quite well within this. I've just got to decide, well, let's get all this excess glue gun goop off. That'll probably mess everything up. Alright, so I just got to make sure that this is at a point where I've still got room to pour the goop in. So I'll probably do it there. Now, when I start to pour the silicone into this will lift. Now I'll leave it lifting to begin with, and I'll just use that to bump to try and get the air out. But then after a while, I don't want it to lift anymore, so I'll just put some hot glue on top of this, just to attach these things across to the top of the base. So, right, let's get this mixed and then I'll pour it. Okay, some wonderful blancmange there. Right, so I've got this other little box, just in case there is any silicone escape. Let's make sure that that's pushed down in there. I have banged this a few times. I'm not sure what I can do about that. But anyway, so I did go through and burst all of the bubbles last time. Just like so, with a pair of tweezers. I think I've probably mixed this a little bit too hard on this occasion, but anyway, get rid of the ones off the top. There'll probably be more ones come out anyway, but without a vacuum or a little vibration table, there's not a lot I can do. I used to have a little vibration table that I used to use for a plaster of Paris casting, but that's long since gone. Right, well, that's moved some of them, still more coming out. Well, we'll see what happens. It's more interesting once they go into here, really. So let's pour, and I think I will very probably speed this up. Okay, so this has just lifted a little bit now, but what I want to use that for is a little agitator, just to try and get some of the bubbles out. Then hopefully once I get this back down, I can move this around a little bit and get it more centralized, because I had to give a little bit of space there to get the extra give me some room to pour the stuff in. And if you see, nothing has come out of this, so I'm okay with that. Don't have to worry about that. So let's put it on the base, and now I can make sure it's flat. This is lifting all the time, but at the moment that's okay, because I can use that to, say, push some of the bubbles out. Why do I keep on saying balloons? And then I'll stick these this foam core down to the top of the mould, because it is quite light, this mould, because it's 3D printed and there's a lot of air in the middle, as you can see, completely hollow. So oops, let's get these stuck down. Hold that in place now, finish with my glue gun. So let's just wait for that glue to take hold. And then I'm going to start tapping the side of the mould to try and bring out some more of the bubbles. Now you can see from, is that sealed yet? No. I really don't want this to pop up, so let's squirt some in there and then push it down. Okay. So you can see from this how the bubbles still formed around the base, but the bubbles didn't form around the actual bit that I wanted, which is towards the bottom of the moulds, the round bit. So worked quite well, but this will be a much more satisfying mould as well. There's actually not that much coming out at the moment, so maybe I've got away with the bubbles on this one. So I think I'm going to leave that now. Just leave that. I've got this again. I'll leave that separate, and then I can use that to test. And once that has cured and set, then I know that this is safe to do. So hopefully we can break this open in a few hours, maybe tomorrow, and tomorrow for safekeeping, and see how this mould has done. But part of me does just want to come and burst any little bubbles that I see, just to help them go. But just a quick check-in, it's about an hour later, and this look at that, ew. So it's beginning to go. That still seems a bit squidgy. So this is definitely set now. This is a couple of days later, really. Hideous stuff. Alright, so we won't keep that, but definitely set. And can take these off. So not bad actually, bubble wise. There's not many on the surface. About 10 round there. Now I just break this apart. If I can, if I am strong enough. Oh, look at that. Beautifully blancmanged. None of that's leaked as well, so the glue gun works really well. A little bit there. Just these two pieces, I might put the measurements on here. So if you want to make it, you need 2 of that size and 2 of that size. There you go. Now let's see how the mould has come out. Always bubbles on the inside of the rim there. Ugh. There you go. And just to pick out the blue tack. Alright, so looking in there, not sure whether you can see, but there's not many bubbles. There's bubbles inside the rim, but that doesn't matter. But there's not many bubbles inside where the round object will be, so that's cool. So now means that along with that means I can do 2 at once, which makes sense for this sort of project.